All right, so in the part one of this, we were talking about pay raises and hourly rates. So in job A, we're trying to compare which one of these jobs we like both the same, but there's different things as far as the rate go. So job A, we have a rate of $8 an hour, and we get a consistent 50-cent raise every single pay period that we're doing the raises, which in this case is every 3 months. And then in job B, we start at a lower rate. Hourly, we got $6.95, but this one has a rate of 8% interest, or not interest, 8% increase every single time they get a pay period that they do the increase for raises. So every 3 months, they get an 8% raise. Now, why would I look at this and say, that doesn't make any sense? Like, why would I do one or the other? Well, if you take a look at this, you can see that I'm making obviously more money in A than I am in B. And I am for quite a bit of time here, actually. When I get to this point right here, we're almost the same amount. But now at this point, this one was at $10.50 and I was at $10.21 for this second job. But here is where it flips. And this is at 6 pay periods or a year and a half. So now we're talking about probably, maybe not necessarily a very, lifelong job. But the question is, which one makes more sense? Obviously, after that 1.5 years, it starts to dramatically change. Well, not dramatically, but it changes considerably. And by the time 4 years rolls around, this one's only making $16 an hour, whereas this one's making $23.81 an hour. So when we're taking about look at what would the comparison be? Well, if I'm not planning on staying there for a long period of time, and a year and a half is a reasonable amount of time for me to maybe stay at that place, then yeah, maybe this is a better option because I'm going to be making a little bit more money here at job A. If I'm planning to stay in the long term in this job, then this is probably the better one because I'll stick with this. But after several years of me staying consistent and loyal to that company, I'll actually be making a lot more money an hour, or not a lot, but a considerable amount of money per hour more. So I think that it is a really important thing that we look at what's happening with that. And then we start to think about how these equations are written. So we're looking at what is happening in this equation. We're going to start with the equation for job A. So job A is a linear equation because it is going up every single pay raise period by 50 cents. So we start off with an f of x. Our starting value is $8 an hour. So we're going to actually put that at the end because linear equations, our starting value always goes at the end. So $8 an hour. And then we're going to add 50 cents or 0.5 times whatever amount of pay periods I have. And that's going to be my equation for this one. Now, when we think about job B, a little bit of a difference because it's not consistent and it's a consistent change of rate. However, it's a percentage, and it's a percentage of the previous number. So we always start off again, function f of x. Now, in this case, our starting value was $6.95. So in a case like exponential functions, we always start with that starting value first after the equal sign. So we are going to start with 6.95. And again, we're looking at multiplying because we're multiplying it by 100% of what I made previously. And then in addition to that, I'm making the 8%. So 100% is equivalent to just 1. If I think about numbers and changing decimals from a percent. And then 8% as a decimal gets 2 spaces over to the left for 0.08. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the original of what I got, whatever I previously had, or our current value, and I'm going to add 0.08 to it. So my growth rate is 1.08, and then I'd have to the x power, which would be the number of payments, every raise period that I'm getting. That would be the changeable value. So these are the two equations. So obviously you can see this is the exponential function versus this being the linear function. And that's how I was able to come up with all of the answers for this question. If you'd like more questions like these, please make sure to follow me on my YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at YouWantAlgebra. And don't forget to like, share, follow for more. And these are going to be located in the exponential functions section.